Good evening, and oh, that's some echo right there. Give me just a moment. Welcome to first, uh, our first official campaign chat for uh, for the month of March. No, excuse me, we've done one. Um, you'll have to excuse me. We're let's see. Hang on, just a second. Um, There we go. That makes it a little bit easier. I had to turn off my monitor on my microphone. This is our first time to do campaign chat through my official website as opposed to launching it on something like Facebook Live or YouTube. Although we will be loading the recorded version to those sites after we finish up tonight's broadcast. I wanted to use this platform because I felt like it gave us some more flexibility, and because of that, we've got some uh, we've got some really useful information to pass along to you all. I want to tell you right now, thank you for taking the time to join me on a rainy Monday night. It's a bit drizzly in West Tulsa, but you know the West Side's still the best side, and so the first order of business that I wanted to attend to is if you would please check on your screen. Um, I am attempting to run a closed caption option for this stream. I don't know if it's showing up properly or not. This is my first time running it, but uh, if you know me, you know that accessibility is a priority to me and to this campaign. Um, I myself am a person who has uh, has a hearing disability, and I want to make sure that I am doing everything in my abilities to make myself as accessible as fully fully available to anyone and everyone who wants to interact with this campaign. Um, it's one of those things that when we neglect that forethought, we leave people out. And if you're going to represent a district, you're not just representing the section of the district that has full sensory ability. You need to make sure that you are working for everybody and reaching to everybody. So that's a commitment that I take very seriously. And like I said, if it's not working tonight, I will continue to troubleshoot. Beyond that, you'll notice that to uh, to my side here, we have a Twitter stream going. If you would like to participate in tonight's conversation, I would really love to. I'd really love um, to get that going. I see I've got a couple of folks already. My friend Dan Wade has a question for me that we'll get to here in a bit. I'll do some questions here at the end of tonight's broadcast. But again, that feed is open, and I hope that you will all participate, and we can make some use of that going forward. Again, it's about inclusivity. It's about making sure that you are heard and that I am doing everything in my power to reach you where you are. So, with that said, as you can see, where I am is stately Ross Manor, and I've got a little bit of that social distancing scruff happening here. Um, so I wanted to update you first and foremost about the state of education in our district. As I think you probably know by now, last week the Oklahoma State Department of Education had a meeting and decided that for the remainder of the 2019-2020 school year, that the prudent decision was to go ahead and close buildings and have schools move to a distance learning model. Um, what that looks like is going to vary from district to district. And I know that our House district encompasses several school districts. And because of that, there's not a one size fits all answer. I am going to try to give some resources and a little bit of my perspective. For those of you who don't know, my profession is I'm a career classroom teacher, and I've spent about a decade and a half working in Oklahoma's public schools. Um, Most recently, I'm a Sandite. I'm a teacher at Charles Page High School, and even though instruction's not supposed to resume until April 9th, we have spent the last few days kind of gearing up and learning to adapt to the needs of our classes. I know that for many of us, that is going to involve a um, that's going to involve an online learning component, and accessibility and creating equity in education is going to be a challenge there, because in addition to having technology in the home, that is also something that relies heavily on having access to internet resources. I'm going to take my headphones off since I've turned off the microphone monitor. So, as I was saying, we are working diligently to create ways in which we can serve our students, whether that looks like um, checking out Chromebooks to students, or um, making sure that there are pen and paper alternatives when absolutely necessary. Um, that is something that our district takes very seriously. I was a part of a about 200 person Zoom call this afternoon, and we'll be in another one every day from here until the 6th, so that we can go ahead and make sure that we're all on the same page with regard to instruction. I know that Tulsa Public and Jenks both have been uh, they've been engaging in similar best practices. I know that Wednesday, Jenks will be posting their information via Facebook. If I read the article, or excuse me, the posting from the Jenks Tribune correctly. Um, so we have that to look forward to on Wednesday. In the meantime, here in just a moment. In fact, let's go ahead and cut over right now. I've got uh, this is Jenks's COVID-19 resource page, and if you scroll through it, you'll see that they've got frequently asked questions. Um, and they've been updating this pretty regularly. This was last updated on the 28th, so they updated this as recently as Saturday. And of course, details are going to change on a day-to-day basis, but by and large, this is pretty accurate. They already have information about uh, ways in which uh, the district is working to create equity in resources that are available. Um, you'll notice that they're in that little highlighted section. They talk about how there actually are learning resources that are being broadcast daily through OETA, and so that's going to be a resource that's widely accessible. One of the amazing things about public television and why it's such an important resource to everyone is the fact that television has an over 90% penetration rate into American homes. And the best case study that I could ever point to with regard to its effectiveness would be the case of Sesame Street. Sesame Street is actually document as a factor in improving literacy rates among young children, beginning with its first season in 1969. So, Big Bird's kind of leading the way for us there, and we've got that to lean on. I know that they are broadcasting uh, things like Nova and American Experience and Nature programs that really do have a high educational value. There also was a note. In fact, let me go ahead and go back over here. There's a note about how um, they've got excuse me, a note about Cox Communications providing 2 months of free internet service, which is a tremendous, tremendous asset to families. In fact, that program would actually get someone all the way through the end of the school year. I'll share a direct link to that after tonight's broadcast. I know that there are actually several providers that are doing similar things. AT&T is actually taking steps to ease up on data restrictions so that folks who rely on uh, cellular as their internet provider do have that to lean on. I know that in the Sand Springs district, we still have areas where high speed internet is not as easily accessible as it might be in areas closer to the heart of the city. So a lot of my students rely on their cell phones for internet service. So having those resources there does help take some of the sting out of this experience. Let's take a look over at Tulsa Public's page real quick so that you can see some of the resources they have available. TPS has been providing things like activities that parents can engage in with their students during this time. And something that you'll notice that they've been very diligent about, both on their site and in their social media postings, has been TPS has done a great job of making sure there's bilingual communication going out. You've got a number of hot links taking you directly to activities that are going to be sorted by grade level, all the way from pre-K all the way to 12. And you've got tools for parents, including frequently asked questions and social emotional learning resources. I strongly encourage you, if you're a TPS parent, make sure that you're visiting the site and utilizing the resources that the district is providing. And I know that, again, both districts have done a wonderful job of sharing information through social media. So, speaking of districts conveying information through social media, there was a notice that was released today that Berry Hill is going to be postponing their school board election that was originally slated for this next month until I believe it's June 30th is the postponement date, which is primary day. So if you live in the Berry Hill district, make sure that you jot down that has been changed. That's not going to be the case anymore. It's going to be in June. Um, so a couple more resources that I wanted to share with you before we go tonight. Um, let's take a look at the resources page that's been provided by the city of Tulsa. So this is Tulsa's resource page, and they've done a wonderful job keeping their information updated, especially with Mayor Bynum making the announcement that Tulsa has gone to a shelter-in-place model. Um, they've got a very, very well done frequently asked questions section about what shelter in place actually means. For example, okay, our stream was disconnected, but it's going to reconnect here in just a moment. Um, so All right. So I am back. I had a hiccup there where I think uh, our broadcasting software told me that our stream was overloaded, but it looks like we're rolling strong now. So let's go ahead and continue. Um, so, as I was saying, our. Let's see, let me fix that real quick. Okay, give me just a second. I have to update our stream settings. Again, the joys of being your own tech guy. All right, start the stream. Server. So I'm gonna keep recording while I'm troubleshooting because uh, like I've said, we're going to upload this to both YouTube to uh, and to Facebook after tonight's broadcast. So, with that said, I do appreciate everybody's patience with me. You know, this remains a this remains a kind of uncharted territory for us in some regards. Um, so I'm betting that's my brother calling to tell me that the stream went down. Um, so let's see. As I was saying, um, we will try to make sure that some of these hiccups are not going to affect us for our next broadcast. But for the moment, the problem connecting to the server. So let's go ahead and just conclude with a couple of things. As I was saying, the City of Tulsa has done a wonderful job of creating a frequently asked question file that goes into what shelter in place really means. It reminds you that while you can leave to buy groceries, there's no reason to hoard groceries. That puts an undue stress on things. Please do keep in mind city parks are currently closed. My house actually butts up to the back of Paige Belcher, and we had golfers out there over the weekend who were not observing social distancing. You'd see guys sitting shoulder to shoulder in their golf carts, and that's not a safe practice. So I was glad to see the city decide to go ahead and close down parks. As of midnight tonight, Jenks also is going to be shelter in place. So many of the things that are listed in the Tulsa site are also going to be available, or excuse me, are also probably going to pertain to Jenks as well. Um, Before we go, I wanted to point out that the State Department of Commerce has a really robust website that has information on how businesses can navigate through this time. There's information about how workers can get information on unemployment insurance, how uh, nonprofits can navigate. Um, there's information on how to identify whether or not your business is an essential business, and there's a link to the Small Business Administration's website for the coronavirus. I'm going to show that real quickly. Again, we'll post links to everything with the information from this broadcast. When you take a look at this, you'll notice that there's one of the first things that's listed is the Paycheck Protection Program. This is something that is part of the relief package that passed through Congress. And one of the things that that's going to do is it's going to help keep the lights on, basically. it's going to allow things like loan forgiveness for 8 weeks of payroll. You've got economic injury disaster loans that are listed here. There is SBA debt relief. So there's a lot to dig into here. Um, I do know from friends who have filed for various things through SBA as part of coronavirus relief. You'll have to excuse me, my allergies are kicking in. Okay, so they've said that it does take a while to go through the paperwork. So do allow yourself some time, but know that it's worth it. That the package that passed through Congress does have uh, does have some relief to help take the sting out for many of our folks who are getting the pinch from the economic downturn that's occurring at the time of this. So, having said all that, I'm going to go ahead and bring us to a close this evening. Dan asked earlier if I could explain the difference between traditional Medicaid expansion and the governor's block grant proposal. Dan, with your permission, let's go ahead and put this on the agenda for next Monday because we're coming up on about the 30-minute mark. And on top of that, with the tech issues happening here, um, let's just pick that up next time. But it's an excellent question. And I would encourage everybody to make sure and send questions my way, whether it's through Twitter, Facebook, email, any avenue that is convenient for you is convenient for me. So again, I wanted to thank you all for tuning in this evening. I wanted to remind you that uh, you you can vote by mail in the state of Oklahoma. So the longer this goes on, I will post resources for that. But know that our election system is a stable one, and actually is one that I think could be kind of a model for the rest of the country. Um, so keep that in mind as you make your plans for the future. Um, Take effort to keep yourself, your family, and your friends healthy, and go ahead and continue sheltering in place. Keep practicing social distancing because that's how we're going to do this. That's how we're going to flatten the curve. This evening I've received word of we're starting to get names that we recognize. Friends of mine have had people close to them impacted, and now national names like country artist Joe Diffie passed away as a result of COVID-19. So we're certainly thinking of his family and families around our country and around the world, indeed, who are struggling with this challenge and with this infirmity. It's the wrong word. This disease. Um, so anyway, I hope that you'll continue to tune in, and as we progress forward. To my knowledge, I am the only candidate for State House of Representatives District 68 who has ever tried to maintain a presence through streaming video, and I intend to keep that going because, again, it's important to me that in the year 2020 we are using every tool possible to connect with each other. Until the next time we see each other, be well, be safe, be kind to each other, and please remember to share this video and the links to our sites. So thank you again for your time, and I'm wishing you all a safe, healthy, and restful Monday evening.